Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are, however you might be listening slash watching. Thank you for making this part of our day. I am Justin,
I am Alexander.
and we are the hockey podcast you're about to hear. And Alexander, did I tell you that I heard about somebody who collects candy canes?
Time of year for it.
Right? I know, that's what I thought, but sounds like they're all in really good mint condition.
No.
So, on that note, where shall we start?
I think this time we are going to start with probably the overall look at the league and our good, bad, and ugly breakdown of all the teams. Justin, league as a whole, good, bad, or ugly?
I'd say a little bit ugly right now. How about you?
As we stand just into the new year of 2022, ugly. We have had COVID run rampant
Mm-hmm.
through all of life
Oh, yes.
and affect the NHL in catastrophic ways. I believe we're up over 90 games postponed right now.
Sounds about right, yep.
They have pulled their participation from the Olympics. That was going to happen in
Mm-hmm.
February.
Mm-hmm.
Some players are not particularly happy about that and have been vocal on
Very
social
vocal.
media
Yep.
um, because they feel like this was kind of the plan all along was, oh, we'll make our best attempt to go,
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
but we can't guarantee we're going to go. And the player's like, okay, yeah. And they're like, wait a minute. That just means you were going to come up with reasons for us to not to go. Well, if we cancel a bunch of games because we didn't make any taxi squads for you guys to be able to get through COVID outbreaks on your team, or have you stick to tighter protocols, oh my gosh, suddenly
Oh
COVID came up
no.
again.
Yeah.
Well, we got to postpone a bunch of games.
Right.
And now they're to the point where they're postponing most Canadian games because they don't want to lose the gate revenue of Montreal, Toronto, and so on because those games generate $2 to $3 million per home game for the league. Um,
Yeah, it's understandably so why they want to, keep those ones intact.
yes, because Canada's gone super restrictive again,
Mm-hmm.
with either no fans or 1,000 fans or half fans, depending on where in the country you are. And
Right.
the league's like, yeah, we can't afford that, so we're not doing that. It's
Right.
like, oh, okay. Well, at least you're being honest about your greed, right?
Yes, very, very true. We don't have to speculate about it anymore.
This is not a player safety competitive anything. It's like, nope, we can't afford to do that.
Right. Which I
So
mean makes
okay,
sense. Yeah. So I mean,
okay.
um.
Um, yeah. So that's our league right now.
So
Mm.
how do you feel about them not going to the Olympics?
There was always that part of me that was like, this probably isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does happen, it's not going to be all the players that you want to go to the Olympics. It's going to be like, well, we'll go, but like McDavid says, like, you know what? I can't risk it.
Right.
And there's going to be guys that like they want to go because they want to go so bad, and then the guys that are kind of iffy would be like, yeah, we're not going. And so
Yeah.
you weren't going to end up with a true best on best country
Mm-hmm.
country thing. You're still going to have some other guys you've never heard of just because whatever.
Right.
So that's the way it is now. And quite frankly, I like watching sports happen live. Like, I do not like watching anything tape recorded.
Yes.
Even something that I know is like delayed by like 30 seconds over what's actually happening live bugs me. And
Yes.
so the Olympics, a lot of the games were going to be played at like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, I think, our time,
Ugh.
just given the time difference to China. Because like China's basically straight 12-hour difference. So any game that happens, you know, in a normal evening time over there was happening first thing in the morning over here. Um,
Yeah.
so that's been uh, that's been not as big of a disappointment as if it was, here where it's like, hey, you know what? For 2 weeks, every day at 5 o'clock and then at 8 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
there's great hockey being played. Um, Not the case. So that's fine. Because I don't know that I would have watched the game on tape delay because it's hard to avoid
Oh
outcomes and
yeah.
storylines when you follow that and there's nothing else to follow hockey wise.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only news out there. I was like, no.
Well, I know what happens, so I'm not gonna be surprised. But I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm the same way with that too. So, and part of me is
Yeah.
like, why are we sending NHL players? I think it was you that was talking about. I thought how the Olympics were supposed to be the best collection of amateur athletes.
They are, but I mean, we've always sent basketball players, and we've always
Yeah.
sent, you know, like ice skaters and stuff. I mean, they have like shows and stuff that they do and whatnot and make money. It's like, I guess it doesn't really need to be amateur. I really just want to see the best athletes in the world
Yeah.
um, perform at their sport. So I don't care how much money they do or don't make.
No, they don't make any money. Wink, wink. Oh, not at all.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no.
Yeah.
Um,
But,
no, but that could launch us into a whole NCAA college athlete thing, and I'm
mm-hmm.
not going to go there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean
yeah.
I'm okay with them not going. Same reasons you. And who knows once what would happen to them once they got over there? Because there's always that conversation of if one of them happens to test positive for COVID over there, the quarantine period is crazy long to get back to the U.S. and
Yes.
Canada. So,
You are at the mercy of the Chinese government of when they will allow you to leave.
mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's the part to me. It was like, oh, that'd be horrible for somebody's top player to go get detained for 4 or 5 weeks and then their team just tank because they can't get them
mhm.
back in time. So that's the
Yep.
part where I'm like, ugh. Ugh.
And
So
I wonder if there's still a possibility of like the whole Olympics being postponed by a year that might save this whole thing.
right, like it
But
was with the Summer Olympics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But by this point, they had already moved the Summer Olympics. They already said, "Hey, this isn't happening."
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
it would take something, I think, more catastrophic than the surge that we've seen across the world
Mm-hmm.
with the current variant to postpone that. So
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll go off. They'll have their issues in there. There will
Mm-hmm.
be tons of stories because basically when like you test positive day one, you're in quarantine for the whole Olympics.
Right.
Because they're only like 14, 15 days long
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So it's not like if you show up there as a player and test, you will miss the whole thing. It doesn't matter even if you test positive on day one. So
Right. Which that'd be a major bummer too. Get over there and can't even compete for any of it.
yeah, and like how many players do you send over and then have four or five of them test? It's like, well, we can't substitute it, so now we don't even have enough to field a full hockey team every night. You know,
Yeah.
it could be another big mess,
Oh yeah.
basically. Um,
Big mess.
so, but that's the Olympics, and this isn't necessarily an Olympic podcast, so we
Yes.
should probably move on before we get too much further into the weeds.
Nope, I'm good with that. So we touched on that. So, do you want to start in the central and get us rolling?
So in the central, get us rolling, going alphabetically because we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to show any favoritism except by alphabet.
Right. Very true. Very true.
We grab in the central. The top alphabetized team would be the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh yeah.
In my good, bad, and ugly scale, I just put them at bad because that's all
Uh-huh.
I expect them to be, and that's what they are.
Yep. I put them in bad too because it seems like they still have some fight in them. The thing about that Sharks game was it 8-7 or something like that. I think they're
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
they're they're I mean they're playing at a winning percentage of 0.250, right, which is bad. Um, it's worse than the league, but they're supposed to be worse than the league.
Right.
There's another team we will cover that is 0.265. That's that's like just as bad as they are. So yeah, I think there's I think they're not as soloing at the bottom as a lot of people thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the fact that they're not as bad as we thought they would be
Right.
keeps it from being ugly.
Yeah. And say if it had been 8-1 instead of 8-7, 8-1 would definitely ugly. 8-7, that's just oof. That's
Yeah,
rough.
and everybody knows this. Like, there's no talk of like firing the coach or,
Right.
firing
Yeah.
the
Because that'd be
DM or,
pointless.
it's like, yeah, you're gonna sell a bunch of players at the deadline for draft picks. Jacob Chikrin might be a substantial
Yep. That's the name I keep
collection of
hearing
picks and
everywhere.
players.
Yep.
You'll get maybe a little something for Phil Kessel-ish. Um,
Right.
uh,
Couple hot
but
dogs.
yep, yep. And then yeah, that's Arizona.
Right. So, yep. Nope, I agree with you on bad, and which bumps us to Chicago.
Chicago. Um, I can't say good. I don't think they're as ugly as ugly. So they're probably just in the bad category.
Yep, that's where I would put them as well.
I, I think they have fallen off substantially from when we last recorded.
Yep,
Because they had that new coach bump and all
yep.
that kind of stuff. They were playing well, and it's like,
That's
oh, okay, then things evened out, and you're
that's what
not
I was
winning
about to
very many
say.
games.
Is Flames are about to play them when they're on their hot streak, right before all the Flames games got postponed. So it's like, whew, that came at a good time for the Flames because they were streaking at that point in December.
So, one little side note on Chicago, which we have previously mentioned, the legal case between Chicago Blackhawks and Kyle Beach that has now been settlement reached in that was not disclosed as to what the settlement was. So it's all a guessing game. I believe I heard one insider say it's somewhere between like 10 and 50 million,
Whew.
which is a really wide range,
Yeah.
but anywhere in that range is substantial for an
Mm-hmm.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think any of those amounts justify why there was a lawsuit, but we've talked about that previously. So just an update for our listener.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, that's where that thing's at, and Blackhawks are moving forward from that, and as well as the individual.
Yep.
So
Which is good.
if anything, if it brings some closure,
Yep. Good.
great.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, bad score for them. But how about our next team, the Colorado Avalanche?
The Colorado Avalanche, which we had previously said was, I think we might have put them in bad at one point. I don't remember. Maybe not. They might have still been in good. Playing better, playing much better. Actually, I believe they are the points percentage wise top team in the West. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. They are. They'd be considered points percentage wise the best team in the West right now, which is about where you'd expect them to be.
Mm-hmm.
It took a different path getting here for a variety of reasons. Some of those injuries, some of those poor play, some of those COVID related.
Right.
But in the end, as things shake out, as they always tend to do,
Mm-hmm.
they're good. They're playing good,
Yep.
and not really worried about them at all.
Right. And so I can't panic too early in the season because
Nope.
have a rough start, but pick it up and get going and clicking, and things are good. Things are gravy.
7-2-1 in the last 10 games. They're doing
Hey,
just
yeah,
fine.
I'd
So,
take that. Take that any day of the
yeah.
week.
Oh goodness. Yes.
Alrighty, so good for Colorado, which leads to Dallas.
Um. Give me your thoughts on Dallas.
I don't know. I mean, they're 5-5 in their last 10. They're 6 in the Central right now. It's like I don't know what to make of them sometimes.
They seem to be a team that plays really well and then plays really poorly, and
Mm-hmm.
plays really well and plays really poorly, and just kind of an up and down, up and down. I think if they put together a couple ups, they're right there around that playoff bubble. If they put together a couple downs,
Right.
then they're down there along the top 10, maybe five draft picks.
Yep.
Um, and I I almost feel like it doesn't matter which way they go. I don't really care. Um, they're not an interesting enough, dynamic enough team for me to really care about,
Right.
follow. There's not a lot of interesting storylines.
Yeah. Except for Ben Bishop
So
retiring.
yeah, yep. I'm sure they will be active, excuse me, around the trade deadline, most likely selling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have some pieces that teams will want if they're not in a position to go for it, which I don't think they will be.
Nope.
So maybe they'll get some draft picks and whatnot. But whatever.
Yeah, no, it looks
That's
like their streaks
the
kind of
league.
depend on where they're playing. They are 11-3-1 at home this year, but they are 4-9-1 on the road. That's pretty rough.
I'd say try and play more home games.
Yeah, right. Can we trade some
I was
more away
asking,
games for home
hey,
games?
hey, can we stop going on the road? Like we like this place here.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think they're good. I don't think they're ugly. So maybe a bad on them.
I think just a bad. Yep.
Eh, bad works and maybe a head scratcher here and there. And see what we got, huh?
Mm.
Ready, show Minnesota.
I wasn't high on Minnesota to start the year,
Hmm.
um, just because I thought the success they had last year was kind of more that, hey, everybody had a good year all at the same time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they're actually a pretty good team,
Yeah.
playing some pretty good hockey, getting some pretty good goaltending,
Yeah.
and they're in most of their games. They don't get blown out a ton. If they do, they fight their way back, no matter how cold it is. And
Uh-huh.
I uh, I guess they're an expected playoff team at this point, which I
Right.
wouldn't necessarily thought them as
No.
that.
I would have thought that, like,
So
maybe fighting for that second wild card spot beginning of the season. Kind of right on that bubble. But, yeah.
yeah,
Third in their division. Yeah, I mean, not too
yeah.
shabby.
I think some of that comes from how strong we thought the Central was than how strong the Central isn't.
Right?
Um,
Yeah, that too.
I would have expected more from some other teams around them,
Uh-huh.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. So, yeah, no, I
Never
think.
takes more than one injury or one illness or something to really derail your season, and or just a goaltender to get hot to go on a run of 7 or 8 games, and suddenly you're
Yeah, back in
tops
it.
in your conference. So
Yeah, crazy.
yeah.
Crazy up and down this league can be sometimes, but that's what makes it so entertaining.
Well, and their entire coaching staff just got 3-year extensions a couple days ago.
Right? So that's
So
good.
clearly, the management there thinks that no, you're going in the direction we want to go.
Yeah,
So keep after it.
yeah.
Good for them.
Which is a little bit scary for them. Good for the players to see that the coaching will be there for a while. It's nothing worse than a coaching, uh, to keep revolving in and out coaching carousel. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the worst. I can testify to that. So,
I
uh,
don't know what that's like.
do you wish it sometimes, or too soon to
Oh,
say?
many times I wish that.
Yeah,
All right, so who do we have next alphabetically? I
that
don't uh
would
I don't keep
be
good track on that.
Nashville.
Ah, Nashville. Well, I would go strongly into the good category
Yeah,
with
same
Nashville.
here. 8-1-1 in the last 10. Whew.
Mm-hmm. They are playing some really, really good hockey, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean they're a playoff team. You know,
Yeah, I don't.
again another team that I wasn't necessarily expecting to be a playoff team,
No, I was not. Mm-mm.
especially considering all the pieces they kind of got rid of in the offseason. I mean, you lose Ryan Ellis, like really,
Right? Yeah.
um,
That's to be
one of
fine.
your top three defensemen, and nope, we're actually better now. Oh,
So that's a
good
head
for you.
scratcher. That's got to make you feel good if you're, the guy that left and your team improves. What?
Yeah. They must have known he was going to get injured and missed so far. I think the whole season in Philadelphia. I don't think he's come back
Oh,
yet. He might be back now. He might be back a couple games. I don't know.
that's brutal.
Um, that was an asset they sold at the perfect time,
Right?
basically.
No kidding. Oh my
Yep.
word. Yeah.
It's not who you buy and sell; it's when you buy and sell.
Right. And saying some of those things you don't know if you'll know right away, and some you won't know until down the road. This one we know right away.
Yep.
So yep, no, buy slap will get on them. A very surprising good on them, and yeah, see what they do the rest of the season. So that brings us to St. Louis.
Oh, you know what? That's a good. That's a very good. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, tops of the Central, and I guess in my mind, maybe surprisingly better than I thought they would be.
Same. Same.
Um,
I think I thought they'd be like number 3 or number 1 wild card, somewhere in that bubble range, but not on top right now. Like
I,
they
I
are right
think
now.
I think maybe one of the things that gets me is they score more goals than I thought they would because they always
Yeah.
seem more like a Greg Berube, tough, tight, grind them close kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the top one, two, three, four, five, six. They're sixth right now in the league in goals scored.
Oof. That's yeah.
Technically tied for fifth. Um, and if you go by games played, they're actually sixth. Yeah. Um, so that's a lot of goals.
That
That's
is
substantial. I mean, you're getting your money's worth if you're a fan.
right. That's
So
what you want.
I mean, they're one of these teams that's at a plus 25 so far goal differential for the
That's
year, and
crazy.
if you're positive, you're a playoff team. If you're plus 10, you're a division team, not a wild card team. And if you're in the plus 20s, you're probably a division winner. Like
Uh-huh.
that's usually how that kind of breaks out.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
good for them.
I don't know. Another surprising
The
good.
other good Tarasenko just having a fantastic year,
Right?
even with still having a trade request out there.
Which,
I
like,
don't think I don't think he gets traded this year.
I don't think so either. I mean, how can you unless you get like a boatload of number 1 picks or something like that? Something you can't say no to.
Even at that, you derail the year that you're having, taking a guy that's playing as well as he is, and be
Right?
like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna get rid of you for a bunch of future stuff.
Yeah. You sit them
Um,
down and say, "We'll
I
move you in the off season."
I would give you some stats, but the stat page on the NHL.com is broken tonight,
Oh, that's bummer.
so there will not be a ton of stats tonight, as much as that's fun to do.
It is fun.
Um,
But
so,
again, like I said last time, good on him for playing through that trade request. You don't see that a whole lot nowadays, so
yep,
always want to shout
yep.
that out.
Professional shows up, does his work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Doesn't throw off his equipment in the crowd and run off in the middle of the game. So, yeah, we're good.
No idea what we're referring to. I can't think of anything from the past weekend that you would be referencing there.
That's a uh, NFL reference there. So,
I don't even know what that is.
right?
I
So,
have I have no idea what wide receivers do
right,
um,
yes.
when they don't get their way.
Oh,
So
yes.
anyway,
Yes, yes. Moving back. Moving
I
back.
believe we have one last team in the Central because that's been 7 so far. So it's got to be Winnipeg sitting at the
You
bottom.
are correct.
Um,
Winnipeg.
I feel like Winnipeg was heading for a bad
Mm-hmm.
because they've been struggling, and lo and behold, the coach falls on his own sword, which
Right?
was something I don't think I have ever seen.
No, I don't think I've either. Any sport that
Where,
I
where
haven't
a
watched.
coach, I've never seen a coach resign outside of being given the option to resign as opposed to being fired
Right.
for
Like
conduct. Right?
Bill
It's
Peters with
like,
Calgary a few years ago.
yeah, see, he resigned. Joel Quenneville resigned. It's
Right.
like,
Quote, quote,
oh,
resigned.
okay. But
Yes.
if you resign and don't give a press conference, you didn't resign. Paul
Yes.
Maurice was able to resign and hold a press conference and explain why he was resigning and was honest and passionate
Mm-hmm.
and just listening to his press conference, I was like, dang it, I wouldn't mind if that guy was my coach.
Right? Yeah.
Like, and I've thought that a while for Paul Maurice just because he's been around so long and has seemed to be fairly respected everywhere he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even though he's never had ultimate success.
Right.
Gosh, I gotta say, if the Red Wings wanted to make a move, we could make a move and get him now while he's available before somebody else picks him up, who I will mention later in our Western Conference Pacific Division discussion. Oh,
Oh yes,
uh,
please, please pick him up before anybody in the Pacific picks him up.
but no, the fact that Winnipeg, through a less than expected season, has continued to be right around the playoff spot,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good enough. I feel like they're right somewhere between good and bad. I don't feel like either one
Yep.
of them is justifiable,
Yep.
but
Nope.
that's the game we play is good, bad, and ugly, and I still put them towards the good.
Somewhere with you on the good. Say I think they're too good to be bad and not really bad enough to be good, but definitely not ugly.
Hmm.
So we'll slap good on them and shuffle on over to the Pacific, eh?
Okay, well, I know in the Pacific, the first one has got to be Anaheim because they're the only A team in the Pacific.
That's correct.
Anaheim, you are good.
Yes.
You're you're very good, actually. Like you're surprisingly good.
Yes.
And we know this when we do our season predictions every year that some team from somewhere is gonna have a year that nobody expected. Usually one really good and one really
Uh
bad,
huh.
or a couple really good and a couple really bad,
Yep.
and you never know who it's going to be. And if you had guessed Anaheim would have the really good year, you would have been right because they are playing really, really good hockey. At least they have been. So
Pains me to say it, but yes, they have been.
they've been young, fun, fast, and entertaining. Uh, so great. Anaheim's at a spot that nobody expected them to be in, taking a playoff spot right now, taking a divisional playoff spot right now
Uh huh.
that you also didn't think they would be.
Nope. I sure didn't. I didn't even think they'd be even close to sniffing a wild card spot. But here they are. Oh boy.
Here they are bumping other people into the wild card.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if they bump Edmonton out, then that's fine. But it's kind of like, I don't know, one bad choice for another bad choice. Don't want to see either team in the playoffs, so. But I guess I'll have to take what I can get, huh?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, alrighty. Well, that leads us to Calgary.
Oh, Calgary. I will let you tell me about Calgary.
I think they are doing good, all things considered, with their break. Traditionally, anytime Calgary has had an extended time off, they come back and like, wait, what? What's hockey? This hockey? How play hockey? How do hockey? 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 How play hockey? So the fact that they won their first two, and but a giant egg tonight. But the fact that they won their first two coming out, I'd say that's pretty good. Winning percentage wise, they have one of the best percentages in the league right now. Definitely one of the best, or definitely the best in the Pacific right now. So, which that's what I like to see. 4 games back of Vegas right now, and only 5 points out. So, got a murderer's row coming up. So we'll see what I think after that. But I'm definitely pleasantly.
Indeed a murderer's row. Holy cow.
Yeah, Florida tonight. Like I said, drop the egg there, and then Tampa Bay and Carolina. So if we can get if they can pick up a couple points, a point or two here and there, next couple games, I'll be pretty happy. But they're
Mm-hmm.
in a divisional playoff spot, which I think is better than I thought they were going to be. I figured they'd be trying to fight for a wild card, so hopefully they can keep that continuing. I think
Yep.
Daryl Sutter's doing some very, very good things there and transforming some players.
What
Johnny.
is amazing to me is when you think of Daryl Sutter, you're thinking of playing a defensively minded hockey game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they're doing, right?
Uh
I
huh.
mean, you're not giving up a ton of goals. Like as far as your goals against, you're second, I think, in the league.
Yeah, let me check that
I,
real
I think
quick.
I think Carolina was number one with
Yep,
theirs, and then it was Calgary,
Carolina with 66 goals against, and Calgary with 73.
and 73 is probably from tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
that was 6 tonight. So,
yeah, so yeah, you would have been right there near the top of the league before that.
uh huh.
Um, and so they have a really good plus minus
Very good plus
because you
minus.
don't have to score a ton of goals to have a good plus minus when you don't give up a bunch of goals.
Right.
So it's I think it's surprising to see that large of a plus minus on a Daryl Sutter coach team because you figure, okay, you're going to win a lot of tight close games, and you're
Right.
actually winning your games by a couple goals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's that's very impressive. That feels good to watch,
Yes.
honestly. When you have a team that's like, no, we're up 3 goals. Okay, we gave up one in the third. They pulled their goaltender,
Eh,
and they either didn't score or then we got another one.
right.
It's like
Ah.
it's a comfortable way to win.
Yes.
Um,
Because I can tell you from teams past, oh my word, when the other team pulled the goalie, it's like, oh no, 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 no. It's like the longest 2.5 minutes of the entire game. It's like, oh, now it's still, a good long 2.5 minutes, but it's less nerve wracking of a 2.5
uh-huh,
minutes.
uh-huh.
That's definitely a thing. Is like I can definitely tell the emphasis on defense, but there's still like room for creativity on offense, which I don't think people were expecting, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot less rushes given up for the other team. If there's a turnaround, everybody's skating back to try and get back on defense. But
Mm-hmm.
they also try and spring a lot of guys for breakouts of our own. So it's a good balance. Hopefully it continues going. And yeah, no, I've definitely been liking what I've been seeing so far this year. It's been fun.
Fun years are good years.
Yes, yes, indeed. Which, I guess that leads us to Edmonton.
Okay. Edmonton, this is where I have to ask about coaching because Edmonton is currently getting it bad. Actually, no, they're getting it ugly,
Uh huh.
folks.
Yep.
They are getting our first ugly of the night because
Ugly.
They have won 2 of their last 12 games.
Oh, that's brutal.
The last month, they have fallen from tops in their division to the last wild card spot. They are basically a team that, for as good as they have, like McDavid and Drysdale, nobody's scared to play Edmonton right now.
Right, yeah.
It's not like, oh, Edmonton's coming in. We got this. Like, they're getting beat by 2 or 3 goals a night.
Oh, yeah. It's
And the uh the stat that's telling is with Drysdale and McDavid on the ice, they're +2. With Drysdale and McDavid off the ice, they're like a -20.
they're only a +2 with those guys on there.
Yes.
Oh,
And so even though they're scoring more than they're giving up when they're on the ice, doesn't matter. You can't outscore the rest of the team giving up all the goals. So they've had some fundamental flaws in Edmonton. They are showing themselves now. Particularly, they didn't address their goaltending properly in the offseason,
yep.
and therefore it will probably cost the coach his job shortly, leading me to bring back up Paul Maurice, who could probably come into Edmonton and be like, wait, so I resigned from my job, everybody was cool with it, and now I can go coach McDavid and Draisaitl for the next 5-10 years?
Yes, please.
I could see where that would be a great fit. People are also talking Mike Babcock or um, Travis Green, who lost his job in Vancouver, or Dale Julian, who's been out of the league for a couple years
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Um, all those guys have coached in Canada, so it's like, you know what? Can you handle the Canadian market? Yep. They
Sure.
all done it for several years.
They know what to expect.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, well, I hope that doesn't happen because there's already been one Pacific team who's had a coaching change that's been going really well for them, but we'll get to them here in a minute. So I
Mhm.
really would rather not to see another Pacific team get a good coaching bump. But we shall see, I guess.
Yeah, uh, yeah. Like I could probably riff on Edmonton for half an hour, but we're not gonna do that.
There, our
No.
listener thanks you.
Who is next?
That would be the Kings.
Kings. Wow.
Right?
You know what? Again, a team that everybody was kind of expecting maybe to take a step this year, and I think they're basically about a playoff bubble team, and that's kind of where I expected them to be. So that's good.
Right?
They didn't go, not so bad. They didn't go not so good.
Right?
They're just having a solid year, solid enough team, and
Yeah?
they got a shot at making a little run and trying to get into the playoffs.
Right? Say currently
Good for them.
they're the first team outside the wild card, which I mean that's not an
Hmm.
awful place to be. So
Really not. I mean,
nope,
I
just one
I
point behind
I
Edmonton. So
I know exactly what that looks like.
indeed. So no, I'm good with giving them good and see what happens with them the rest of the season. So after LA, we jump all the way to the S's for Seattle.
They are ugly.
Yes.
I mean, the jerseys are beautiful, but the team's
Yes.
ugly. The management's ugly. It's just they did not build a team very well,
No.
in
No, they did not.
my opinions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say that's Seattle. We should probably move on.
Right. Nope. I'm good with that. So San Jose. Yay.
San Jose's having again a playoff bubble kind of year, unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
So good for San Jose. They lost to my Red Wings tonight, so that's happiness.
Yes.
Yep.
Much happiness for actually both of us. So yeah, kind of worked out.
Hmm.
I like it. Yeah, I give them a good. They're doing better than I thought
Well,
they would, but no, I guess it's to be expected. Eventually, they come around anyway. So what can you
mhm.
do? Alrighty.
Next, I think we hit probably Vancouver,
Vancouver.
which was ugly last time we talked. They have turned it to the good. So
Yeah, they have.
they have gone hot, hot, hot since they got rid of Green and brought
Mm-hmm.
in Bruce Boudreau.
Uh-huh.
And there you have it, folks. All you needed was a coaching change, and the players all suddenly started playing better, and you started winning games.
Weird how that can happen sometimes.
Yeah, finicky little league like that.
Yep.
So yeah,
Went from
they may make a run for the playoffs here.
say went
It's a
from
definite
cutting them out
possibility.
and burying them to well, they could make it, I guess.
Yeah, Yep. They're going to be one of those teams where you're going to look back, at the end of the season and be like, on this date at such and such a point, they were this far back, and it's just like,
Are they this year's St. Louis
yep,
Blues?
yeah, yeah. So, no, but maybe.
Right? I guess we'll
Um,
see. Hopefully not, but I do like Bruce
closing the
Boudreaux.
division.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, he's an interesting individual.
He
We'll
sure
we'll
is.
give him that. Yep.
Sure is. So, yeah, curious to see how the next month plays out with him, if the coaching bump wears off or if it keeps going.
Yep.
Alright, so last that brings us to Vegas.
They're they're Vegas. They continue to play well. They continue to have some really good players, and Eichel isn't even healthy yet. So I don't know where they're going to fit him on the cap when he comes back.
Yeah, right, no kidding.
They're going to have to figure out some shenanigans there, but they're leading their division without him. So
That's a good problem
okay,
to have, I guess, right?
yep, yep. Vegas is going to be fine. They're going to be a playoff, several round kind of team.
Oh, yeah.
And, yep,
So I bet they're
great.
hoping they face Colorado at some point, eh?
Um, I mean, I think everybody's hoping for that in the Western Conference Final.
Mm-hmm.
That means it probably won't happen.
Right, yeah, no kidding. What is obviously going
Um,
to happen? 2 foot putt. Maybe not.
nope.
Maybe not. So, yeah, good for them. Actually, I don't mind giving them a good, so yeah, I'm okay with that. Alright, so anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up our West talk and move to the
Um,
East talk?
nope. I think I'm good with the Western Conference at this point.
Good deal, me too. So that will be our Western talk. So stick around for the next episode where we break down the East.